the mother of all storms, may have brought us to our knees, but together we stand. Welcome to Eastern Iowa United. Tonight, all 3 Eastern Iowa TV stations come together for a rare live broadcast event. KCRG's Nicole Agee, KGAN's Mitch Fick, and KWWL's Ron Steele are live from the Ladd Library in Cedar Rapids to highlight the work being done by the United Way to help recover and rebuild, and how you can make a difference right now. This is Eastern Iowa United.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us for this unprecedented partnership among broadcasters here in Eastern Iowa.
That's right, Nicole. In fact, you know, in times of trouble, in times where we're all having to come together, that's exactly what we do. We focus on what's really important, and right now, there is absolutely nothing more important than helping our fellow Iowans and their communities so hard hit dramatically by the recent derecho. Mitch?
And that's why the 3 of us, the people behind the scenes right now, our stations are honored to be teaming up with you on all of Eastern Iowa tonight as we try to raise some money for our friends and our family and just anybody, because they've probably never needed it more than ever.
What's so unique about this, unfortunately, is that even the people who are helping people have been impacted, the nonprofits that are providing so much for those in need.
Yeah, I thought I'd never cover anything as dramatic as 2008 with the back-to-back Parkersburg tornado of May 25th, followed by the Cedar Valley floods, you know, and what happened here. But here we are again, and that's why we need your help so dramatically tonight. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Let's take a look at where we are at this moment as far as our fundraising efforts for the United Way chapters here in Eastern Iowa. And here's the total right now, $129,000. $129,000. I want to point out a good chunk of that has come from a famous family here in Eastern Iowa, the Keel family. Dan Keel, who is, of course, the owner of the Riverside Casino. His mother and father owned the very first riverboat casino in Iowa. He has donated $100,000 himself. So that is fantastic. Nicole, tell us how everyone can help out.
It is so easy. Let's show you how you can get involved tonight. There are 2 fast and simple ways to give to this important cause. First, you can go to www.wefightfor.org, and from there, just follow the instructions on the screen to make your donation. You can also text STORM to 243-725, then click on the link in your text messages and just follow the instructions to donate to a specific United Way chapter. And the more you donate, the faster we can get communities back on their feet.
And it's all about community tonight, and certainly we know the state of Iowa is Iowa strong, Iowa nice, and we are a close-knit community, but let's face it, the 3 of us are from Eastern Iowa. We know things are even tighter here in the east side of the state. And tonight we want to give you just a close look at, even as everybody's fighting their own battles, when we get hit, we stay united and we get to work.
My feet still moving, but I'm tired.
I stopped in the middle of the road and I cried.
You give me strength to keep moving high.
Total disaster. I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
You are the only one I need.
Find ourselves helping each other.
I'll stand by you.
We all just kind of came together.
Cause you stand by me.
It's the whole town.
You lift me up to new heights.
Help people out. That's kind of, you know, what we want to do.
We'll all get through it together, you know, rebuild stronger than ever.
I'll stand by you.
We're Iowans.
Cause you stand by me.
We take care of people.
You know, what a remarkable show of support here all across the viewing area here the last 17 days. And tonight, our 3 television stations are coming together, focusing on what's really important, to do our part, also to try to do what we can to give back to Iowans by helping support the very valuable United Way chapters here, which serve so many of you on a daily basis. But before we move forward, let's remember why we're here tonight and take a look at the dramatic impact that the derecho has had on all of us here 17 days ago. Let's look at the numbers right now because these are extraordinary. They are extraordinary facts and figures. The August 10th derecho, 770 miles. It started way up in South Dakota and traveled all across the Midwest, 17 hours worth. Top wind speeds in Iowa estimated to reach at one point 100 40 miles an hour. Let's put that in perspective. Hurricane Lowerre made landfall early today as a strong Cat 4 hurricane at a speed of 150 miles an hour. So we're almost there. More than 600,000 of our fellow Iowans lost power. More than 14 million acres of Iowa farmland destroyed. And damage has estimated already, early estimates, to the tune of $4 billion. Nicole.
While the damage done by the August 10th derecho was severe, the derecho phenomenon itself is actually nothing new. Meteorologists from all three of our stations were forecasting a serious storm as it approached that day. Let's hear now from our team of meteorologists, starting with Iowa's News Now Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart.
The powerful Iowa derecho came with limited warning despite many severe weather events that had many days of alert ahead of time. But we did know things were getting more active. At 10:59 a.m., that severe weather threat was upgraded to a 4 out of 5, a moderate risk for severe weather. Then at 11:25 in the morning, a watch was issued. Not just any severe thunderstorm watch, though, a particularly dangerous situation severe thunderstorm watch calling for winds over 100 miles an hour. A warning was issued including the Cedar Rapids Metro at 11:49, and that bid packed quite a punch when it hit at 12:30. TV9 meteorologist Joe Winters has a look at the wind gusts with that storm.
August 10th is a day none of us will ever forget. In my 30 years of broadcasting, this is the most widespread, devastating weather event that I've ever covered. Take a look at the wind speeds that we saw from this storm. Measured in Atkins, 126 miles per hour. Hiawatha reported a 100 mile per hour gust. Some 100 mile per hour winds south of Ames, but stretching from Marshall County all the way back across portions of eastern Iowa. 126 miles of 100 plus winds. That also embedded within that from Van Horn back to Newhall and Atkins, 32 miles of 120 to 140 mile per hour winds. Long duration, that was bad. 30 to 45 minutes caused extensive damage. In Cedar Rapids, that caused 1,700 homes and buildings unsafe to enter. Now let's find out what makes a derecho.
Thanks, Joe. As you know, derecho is not a new term. It was first coined back in 1877 by a University of Iowa professor. All it is damaging winds that exceed 250 miles. We had August 10th, 770 miles. A derecho actually occurred last year across northern Iowa. That was 860 miles of damaging wind. And these are fairly frequent. Look at this, 2004. All these lines are derechos that occurred in 2004, and this is 2005. So they are fairly common. Back to you.
And as our meteorologist mentioned, it's not just the intensity of the wind strength, but the duration that caused all of that damage.
Yeah, and for example, for Cedar Rapids, I mean, the floods were 10 square miles. Cedar Rapids, 75 square miles impacted by this. And it wasn't it took a while, but it wasn't unnoticed by the president finally, yeah.
It finally was. And again, we talked about the duration of it and just the fact that people have been through tornadoes. And they said it was like a tornado that lasted an hour and just incredible stuff. And the president did take notice. It was just a week after the derecho. It struck eastern Iowa that President Donald Trump did visit Cedar Rapids, held a brief roundtable discussion with several local, state, and federal leaders. And during that roundtable, the president was briefed on the storm damage and recovery efforts, hearing from Iowa leaders about what support was needed from the federal government. Cedar Rapids Mayor Brad Hart and Marion Mayor Nick Abouassali among them. 2 days later, President Trump did approve FEMA individual assistance for Iowans in Lynn County.
All right, Mitch, hey, thanks very much. Yeah, so we need the aid. It's coming. Hopefully we get all $4 billion. It took a while to get it, but it's going to be coming our way. You know, we've heard so many times during the last 17 days. Well, we hear it all the time anyway, but particularly the last 17 days, Iowans helping Iowans. And tonight, KWWL reporter Vinny Lowerre, he's live in the small community of Newhall to talk about a bakery, which at one time they were the only source of food for the surrounding people following the storm. Vinny?
Good evening, Ron. Well, a lot of bakery customers I was speaking with say that this is a story of Iowa strong, but even greater story of Iowa determination. One woman's business refused to close, rising above in a crisis and situation.
It's a calming sound many hear when entering Shelley's Sweets. Many now call it a solace, since the 100-mile-an-hour storm that tore through eastern Iowa. Owner Shelley Dangler was working when the derecho hit.
We're holding the door shut and actually just watching all the things blow by. Sometimes you couldn't even see.
Dangler, along with the hundreds of thousands of Iowans, lost power. The day after, she and her team, instead of closing, stayed open.
I said, we don't have any power at the store. The cooler's only going to last so long. So people are busy cleaning. They need food. Let's just go down and make sandwiches and sell whatever we can.
Shelley would not only call in her employees, but also her family.
My kids were working 12-hour days, so everybody pitched in.
That meant feeding many communities in Benton County.
That day, I think we fed almost all of Newhall, probably most of Van Horn and Atkins. It was like people just kept coming.
Those meals would continue to be given out even 2 weeks later. For customer Dan Weber, Shelley's Sweets showed a road to recovery.
Thanks, guys.
We saw her family, her team, we saw Shelley, and things were okay. So we knew at the end of this, everything else was going to be okay too.
And Shelley Sweets is still helping with the meals, and they also say that there's a lot of organizations that are still in the need of help. Live in Newhall, Vinny Lowerre, News 7 KWWL.
All right, Vinny, hey, thank you very much. And of course, today's fundraiser, a mini fundraiser, I guess, mini telethon, we could call it. We need your help, but it's an unprecedented, actually, between the three stations. So we're very, very proud to be a part of that. We certainly could not have done this at all, though, without our unique and great partners of the United Ways of the Eastern area, East Central Iowa, Johnson County, Washington counties, and the Cedar Valley United Way. Kristen Roberts joins me now. She's the president and CEO of the United Way of East Central Iowa. Kristen, 17 days now into the recovery. I saw you on many of the news conferences. You guys did a terrific job. You're doing a great job. But right now, what is the main need that you are still hearing now that the electricity is back on?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're starting to see is we're seeing that response mode turning into the recovery mode. And so that issue of we need electricity, we need ice, we need generators, that is going away. And what we're really starting to see is mental health issues, personal financial loss, all of that type of stuff, tree removal, debris. How can we help in our neighbors and our friends? Those are the things that are really starting to pop up for us.
And think about this. A few weeks ago, actually early on in the pandemic, we did a fundraiser for United Way. We talked about all the things you were doing. We had no idea that something like this was going to happen, and exponentially the need has been amazingly great now.
Yeah, and back in, what was it, May, I remember our 211 calls really started to turn into, I've run out of my personal finances, I've hit the bottom, now what do I do? And with this derecho, we just know that this is going to put individuals in a really hard spot. Those families who had lost their jobs or were suffering from COVID, this all of a sudden with their extra tree removal or being able to replace food in their freezer, this all of a sudden hits them really hard.
Yeah, I mean, this storm was so unique in that the property damage was such, so the trees coming in, and then the trees were taking down all the power lines. Behind me, and I talked about this at 5 and 6, you have many, many volunteers. You can't get anything done without them. Talk a little bit about what they're doing, because we have Foundation 2, we have Samaritan's Purse, we have all the local organizations that are doing such a terrific job to help your effort, and we need the people tonight to respond too.
Yeah, and one of the things that United Way of East Central Iowa is in charge of when there's a disaster is the Emergency Volunteer Center. And so we have been working with everyone who's the little neighbor who wants to help their community to the large national disaster response organizations. At one point, I believe we had 16 of them here in town at once. I know as of just recently, we had a tally of over 6,000 hours worth of volunteer time here. And the key to recording that is the more volunteer hours we get, it ties to FEMA dollars. So if anyone has volunteered and has not reported it, please get onto our United Way website and be able to report that, because that only helps us out as a community too.
Real quickly, if someone calls 211, which is really an emergency number for social services and helping through United Way, what can they expect to get?
When they call 211, they'll be able to be put in touch with all of the resources and being able to find out if I need mental health help, I can go to this crisis line. If I need help with finances, I can go here. If I need help with shelter, I can go here. So 211 is that 911 of human services.
All right, Kristen Roberts, President, CEO of the United Way of East Central Iowa. Keep up the good work. There's a lot that's been done, but there's a long way to go. You know that for sure. So also remember, your donations will help the United Ways not only of East Central Iowa here in Lynn County, but also Johnson County, Washington County, and I saw Sheila Baird, my friend from the Cedar Valley United Way here too as well. So these donations are really important. We'll keep telling you how you can do it. We don't really have a goal set monetary. In the United Way business, we say whatever the need is, right?
Exactly. We count every dollar, and every dollar counts.
Every dollar counts. That's right. Okay. Let's go ahead and continue with our program. Kristen, thanks very much.
Ron and Kristen, thank you. And now you're looking at drone video of damage from the August 10th derecho. This video is from Highway 218 just south of Vinton. You can see the significant damage to a home and farm in this area, a common sight really across all of eastern Iowa, and a big reason why we need your help today. And you don't have to look far to understand why we're coming together for this cause tonight. Even more than 2 weeks since the derecho hit, some people are still struggling with just the basics. KCRG-TV 9's Taylor Holt continues our team coverage tonight with how many people are still struggling with finding a place to stay and food to eat. Taylor?
As the recovery process continues, many Iowans are living a new normal, like residents here at the Cedar Terrace Apartments on the southwest side of Cedar Rapids. As you can see, it's empty. People living here, many of them immigrants, slept in tents for days after the storm. Now they're getting help for now, but the question is, what's next?
On our own. That was been on oxygen for like 3 days.
It feels like I'm in a third world nation.
My English no good. Too much people. He's sleeping here, outside. No good. No.
That was days after the storm at Cedar Terrace, with families living in tents. Most people here don't have much, and it was the most vulnerable who struggled most after the storm. Seniors at Oak Village Senior Residences in Marion sleeping in their cars to charge their breathing machines and struggling to get food. Today, for some, not much has changed. Buildings now placarded, and any signs of life nearly non-existent.
Knowing the number of barriers that refugees and immigrants face in accessing a number of the mainstream services that are available, we wanted to open up a shelter.
The Catherine McCauley Center has provided temporary shelter since last week to 53 residents and have been flooded with outside donations. But still, the long-term needs are going to be a challenge.
Really trying to look at what does it mean for moving forward? What does long-term housing look like? What kind of case management support is needed?
At Oak Village, power is back, but residents say they're now trying to find ways to get to the store and get money to replace their food. On top of that, the nearby Hy-Vee drugstore where many got their medications is closed permanently. And the McCauley Center says for now, the best way to help them is through monetary donations with buying supplies as those needs arise. And that's something the United Way Disaster Fund can help with. Live in Cedar Rapids, Taylor Holt, KCRG TV 9 News.
Taylor, thank you. And of course, as we talk about long-term recovery, you have to talk about mental health because we're facing this in the middle of a pandemic as well. And joining us tonight is the CEO of Foundation 2 Crisis Services, Emily Bloom. Mental health is a big piece of recovery, and it's something that you all have been assisting with in this process.
Absolutely. We have our crisis line, which we've been seeing an increase in calls. In addition to that, we've had our crisis counselors at all of the neighborhood resource centers, really kind of taking inventory, checking in with people, making sure that they're doing okay, looking for signs and symptoms of maybe some emotional distress, and then working with them and connecting them to other long-term supports in the community.
How does what the United Way does in collecting this money in their disaster recovery fund benefit you and your organization?
Well, when we think about a disaster, we know, even from the floods of 2008, that the despair that comes from a disaster doesn't just dissipate in a day or a week, but really it can last months or even years. And so being able to draw down some of those dollars in the future to ensure that we can meet the utilization that people need as the adrenaline wears off and the exhaustion sets in, it gives our organization an opportunity to really be ready.
Some people may tell themselves, I'm fine, I can deal with this, but they have this underlying need for help. How could you encourage someone to utilize the services that are so available to them?
One of the most interesting things about mental health is that it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter who you are. We're available for you. And if you think, gosh, maybe I should call a crisis line, it's an excellent first step. And our people they are trained, they are waiting, and they are willing to reach out and connect with you and provide support.
And as a nonprofit, you all dealt with some damage of your own.
We did. All of our buildings that we own were damaged. And I'm so thankful all those other organizations came in because that gave us an opportunity to get back on our feet and be able to provide the community with the support that we do.
When you look at a disaster of this magnitude in the middle of a pandemic, how does it feel seeing the community come together like this to support one another?
It provides hope. And when we look at suicide risk and other mental health challenges, hope is one of the most important things that we have when we look at long-term recovery.
Emily, thank you so much
Absolutely.
for
Thank
all
you.
you do in this process. We want to show you again how you can get involved tonight and make that donation to benefit the Disaster Recovery Fund and agencies like Foundation 2 that are doing so much to help those in need. 2 fast and easy ways. First, you can go to www.wefightfor.org, and from there you can follow the instructions on your screen to make a donation. You can also text STORM to 243-725, then click on the link in your text messages and follow the instructions to donate to a specific United Way chapter. And of course, we'll say it until we can't say it anymore. The more you donate, the faster we can get our communities back on their feet. Mitch?
Absolutely, Nicole and Emily, thank you for that. Let's take a look at some more drone video again from damage caused by that derecho 17 days ago. This is a neighborhood in Cedar Rapids, and the scene still just seems surreal. Not one home spared, significant tree damage, roof damage, debris everywhere. Homeowners here and across eastern Iowa need your generosity, like Nicole just said, to help them rebuild. But we also know that sometimes actions speak louder than those monetary donations. We know Iowa Nice is always on display, but especially when Iowa is in need, and it has been since August 10th. Iowa's News Now reporter Shannon Moudy joins us live in Cedar Rapids with some other creative ways that Eastern Iowans have been trying to help persevere and help pay it forward to people in need. Shannon?
That August 10th storm left us with so much, least of all damage and debris like all of this. But it has not left Iowans without our notable generosity and creativity. For over 2 weeks, Iowans have not only been salvaging what they can, some have found creative ways to use what's left to bring back smiles, like chainsaw artist Clint Heenick.
Try to bring something good out of the bad situation.
It's the same sentiment Tommy Romberg of Mount Vernon had.
I just saw the perfect branch.
When his perfect branch became the perfect present for a friend. The Great Derecho is handmade, imperfect, Tommy says, but created with love and 10 hours of his time.
3 or 4 days.
He's trading in Grandpa's whittling tool for a lathe, his commemorative bat now in high demand.
He's going to offer them for sale and to donate $20 from each sale to the disaster relief fund.
Pink cheeks.
More creative kids in Marion.
We've gotten a lot of Iowa Strong requests.
Emily, Madeline, Julia, and cousin Kara are the artists behind Broken Beauty ornaments.
All over the city you see these broken branches, and then we can make them something beautiful and help our community out, and they can use their talents that way.
They've been at it just over a week and already raised $1,300 for Matthew 25.
I told my kids, I've never earned that much money doing anything in my life, and you guys did it in a week.
If this storm has taught us anything, it's that Iowans come together and take care of our own. Whether it's through money, markers, or friendship, we can tackle this and do it with a sense of humor. Maybe you saw some of those ornaments that you loved, or you just have to get your hands on one of those great derecho baseball bats. We have links where you can help out even more by purchasing those items at iowasnewsnow.com. Live in Cedar Rapids, Shannon Moudy, Iowa's News Now.
Certainly love seeing Iowa Nice, but Iowa Strong has also been on full display the last 17 days. Lou Thompson is here. You probably, if you're in Cedar Rapids, you know Lou, former owner of Village Meat Market in Czech Village. You have been through the floods of 2016, been through the floods of 2008, but it was 15 years ago this week.
Yeah.
You were a Hurricane Katrina survivor. You were living and working in New Orleans.
Gulfport, Mississippi.
And we've heard all about how this felt like a hurricane. Take me back to 15 years ago this week and your experiences 17 days ago. Were they comparable in what you saw?
With a hurricane, the front part of the bands are horrible and destructive and violent. Then the eye is beautiful. You can see stars. But the back part of a hurricane is very, very violent. And that's what I saw on August 10th.
Which I imagine is something you did not expect to see back in eastern Iowa.
No, yelling at the husband, get away from the window, and I'm looking the whole time. It was as violent as that for an hour. So to say that you haven't been through a hurricane, boy, have you. You know, that was tough.
And I remember when we talked about this 3 years ago when Harvey and I went to you for perspective, you talked about the years it took to just get your mind right again, to kind of recover from it.
And you got to take care of your psyche and the folks that went through really, really bad stuff, because you shove those kind of tragedies down because you want to feel normal again. So people are in a rush to feel normal. You should get out there and talk to people, and get it out, and don't wait until the Monday of the storm where you're laying there in the heat and the humidity and it all comes back to you. It triggers you. So this one was hard.
Sure.
Very hard, yeah.
What are the other things that we're 17 days into cleanup now, too? I mean, we got hit and we got to work.
The big thing.
What are the things that people aren't thinking about that we
What we're
need
not
to?
thinking about is we got to get with the mayor and the city council, not today, but tomorrow. I mean, today and tomorrow. We had water tanks going around and wetting and dousing all of our timber that's laying on the sides of the roads here in town. I drove through today, and it's a timber box in Cedar Rapids. It's not a matter of if we get a fire, it's a matter of when we get a fire. So if you have hoses, go out and douse your thing. The freshly felled trees aren't the problem. It's all the twigs and the leaves and the pine, and it's going to catch on fire, and you're going to burn down little neighborhoods where houses are close together. If you get your hose out, and if you can get your neighbors doused once a day and yours doused once a day, because the city's super busy, they're doing the best they can, but we need to keep these things wet. And if they start on fire, we're going to lose neighborhoods. And this is what we did after Katrina and after most hurricanes in hot areas. We've got to get these things wet. I mean, that'll light up over there, that would light up over there, like that. And we can get ahead of this as a city.
Especially the drought we've had.
Oh, my God. We can get ahead of it right now, but we have to do it right now. And I think the mayor, I think he'd be happy to jump in and do something like that.
We'll see what happens here in the days and weeks. Lou, your perspective is priceless. Thanks so much for all you do for this community with that and everything else. Thanks so much. And, of course, we need you to step up tonight, Lou. Let's show you yet again how you can help out and donate. Those 2 fast, easy ways. If you haven't done it yet, you still got chances even after we go off the air. Go to www.wefightfor.org, and from there you can just follow the instructions on the screen to make your donation. Also, you can text STORM, STORM, to 243-725. Click out the link on your text message, follow the instructions, donate to a specific United Way's chapter. And again, we've said it all night, the more you donate, the faster we can help our friends and family get back on their feet.
All right, Mitch, hey, thank you very much. Lou, thank you as well. What a great organization there, and everyone is doing so much. It's just incredible. Look at the video here, drone video. This is over Newhall, of course, here in Lynn County. Hard hit. Grain bins, the damage to these bins is extraordinary. Now, Ag Secretary Mike Naig has told us before, and this department has been very hard at work the last 17 days trying to kind of figure out what all this is going to cost. Well, the cost to repair or replace just some of these grain bins is going to be something like $300 million. Just incredible. Yet another tremendously stark reminder of why it is so important tonight that you make a donation to those and help those who have lost so much in this. And Nicole, once again, let's remind everybody how they can make a very, very important donation.
www.wefightfor.org. You can also text STORM to 243-725. The United Way says every dollar counts, and they count every dollar. So we'll talk about this damage for years to come. But what should be more loud in that conversation, or louder in that conversation, is the help that Eastern Iowans gave in this time of need.
I've seen it so many times in my lifetime. And Mitch, you're from Cedar Rapids, so this is your hometown, isn't it? Yeah.
We wish we didn't have to prove how tough we were, but
right,
boy,
yeah.
it makes me so proud. You guys are from Eastern Iowa, born and raised too. I know it's these moments that the pride swells and the giving swells and the Iowanites just continues to shine through. And what an experience we've had, and boy, what an honor it's been tonight with you guys.
As we wrap up, I want to thank our extraordinary crews from all 3 television stations, our executive producer. Well, I'll tell you, Josh Morgan did a fantastic job putting this together. Thank you all for watching. Make your donation, and as I like to say, be careful out there.